Data shows that teams with toxic cultures have 48% higher turnover rates. This one is very common amongst creator companies and digital startups, and it's so avoidable. Top performers don't just want a job. They want a path to something greater. If you're not offering them ways to grow, they will go find someone who will. The creator economy has a reputation for burning people out, but it's not because of the work. Studies show that 57% of employees leave their jobs not because of low pay or long hours, but because of poor leadership. So if you're a boss or business owner, there's essentially a 50-50 chance that you're the problem. I should know, I've been an operator on YouTube for 15 years and have helped massively successful creators like Preston Plays, Eric, and Donut attract and retain top talent to grow their channels. It takes hard work to build a world-class team, but once they're in the door, it's surprisingly easy to keep them. In this video, I'm gonna outline my 5 focus areas to create an environment that employees will brag about, and I'll outline a proven strategy on improving your leadership. You see, top creators are in an arms race to snatch up as many talented people as they can, so it is crucially important that you not give your employees any reason to want to leave. If you're a content creator with high turnover and can't figure out why, well, buckle up. Grab a notepad, because today I'm gonna break down why people don't quit jobs, they quit leaders. And it might get a little uncomfortable. Let's start with the economic truth. Bad leadership isn't just bad for morale, it's extremely disruptive to a business, and it's expensive. When an employee walks out the door, it doesn't just cost their salary. Oh no, it's way worse. You're looking at recruitment costs, time spent, training replacements, a loss of productivity, and the ripple effect on the rest of the team that they left behind. The average cost of turnover is 50% to 200% of an employee's annual salary. So for example, if your lead editor is earning $60K per year, replacing them could cost you anywhere between $30,000 and $120,000. And that's not even talking about the stress of onboarding someone new while you and your team are struggling to keep up with post-production deadlines. Imagine you're trying to upload weekly videos without your lead. Your less skilled editors are now put under intense pressure, causing stress, frustration, and mental burnout. And then think about the lack of productivity. Studies show that high turnover can tank productivity by up to 40%. But in the creator economy, I would say that number is actually quite a bit higher. I've seen a company uploading 5 days a week on 2 channels, but due to employee burnout and turnover, their output dropped to 2 videos per week on 1 channel. That's an 80% dip, which can be detrimental to a business. You're not just losing people, you're losing time, you're losing money, and sometimes you're losing your status or your authority. And at that point, your company's losing the thing that made it special. Now let's get into the why. Why do people leave bad leaders? For me, it usually boils down to 5 reasons, and I'm gonna hit them all one by one. The first is lack of recognition. People don't just want a paycheck. They want to feel valued. They want to know that their contributions are making an impact. So if you're not acknowledging them, don't be surprised when they stop trying. Most people, even if they are self-motivated killers, perform better when their work is celebrated. Think about that. Everyone likes a pat on the back. Everyone likes to know that they're doing a good job. So a few things that I would do with my teams that I think work really well in terms of recognition. I celebrate small wins all the time, okay? It doesn't matter. If someone works hard on a smaller project, but they crush it, they're still adding to the greater good, right? That's amazing. So call it out, let them know. Then during an all hands, set time in the meeting so teams can recognize each other. It feels great to know that your teammates are excited to be working with you, and you'd be surprised how many people want to jump in and give shout outs. It's infectious. The first time I did this, I was shocked. Like everyone wanted to stand up, literally stand up out of their chair and recognize their peers in front of everyone else. It was awesome. And the third is a little tricky, okay? Because you need to celebrate the good work, but not the situation. So celebrate when someone went the extra mile in an unfortunate circumstance, like working late nights or consistent weekends, but point out the failure on the company's part for putting them in that situation. Then actually make sure they aren't constantly put in that same situation. Because guess what? No amount of pizza parties is going to make up for consistently grinding your team into oblivion. The second reason people leave bad leaders, is micromanagement. Micromanagement is the fastest way to kill creativity, okay? Like, if you've been micromanaged, you know how much it sucks. As a boss, you hired adults, not interns, okay? If you're breathing down the necks of your people over every decision, they'll either quit or stop thinking for themselves. And then at that point, what's the point of even bringing them into the business? I've said this before, but I love this quote by Steve Jobs. He said, "It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do." If you're hiring slow and being selective about the people that you're bringing onto your team, making sure they align with your values, have a good head on their shoulders, and check all of the personality boxes, let them cook. That's why they're there. And I already made a video about how to hire slow and build your dream team, which you can watch right here. Micromanagement is one of the fastest ways to lose star players. So if you hire someone for their expertise, support them in their decisions and collaborate with them. Especially if you hired a specialist who's been working on their craft with a singular focus for years. Like a DP who understands shot composition and lighting like he's Michelangelo with a camera. Like, why wouldn't you want to support that person? Yes, make sure they're executing your creative vision, but don't stifle their progress or creativity because you're afraid of a little collaboration. Be open about outside perspectives, all right? Maybe they can learn you something. In summation, trust the experts you hired or they'll find someone who does. Third reason people leave, poor communication. This one is very common amongst creator companies and digital startups, and it's so avoidable. It's literally the first thing I look to fix when I come into a business with my consulting company, Upright Media. There are a couple reasons this goes off the rails. I think at its core, it's usually because people are just moving too fast and not thinking. First of all, it's like the lack of operational clarity and alignment of expectations. If you don't have that, it's hard to communicate in general. So, as a leader, you may think you're being clear, but if you're giving vague directions or constantly changing things up last minute because you didn't stop to set expectations or deadlines early, your team is gonna do what they think they need to get the job done. And if they do it, but not the way that you wanted them to, and then you have them redo it, that is a huge L for communication from the top. If your team doesn't know what's expected of them, they're already set up to fail. The second is not having a central source of communication. This one, it's hilarious to me. I've seen teams communicate on Slack, Discord, Telegram, WhatsApp, text, email, smoke signals, all for the same project. If you're producing a YouTube video with a group of people, chances are everyone on your team needs the information to succeed. If important information is getting lost in DMs or not being shared in one place for full team visibility, your employees will eventually be on different pages, balls will get dropped, and you will be frustrated. So pick one and get your team on board. If you've ever worked for me, you've seen my Slack presentation, you've taken my communication training, and you know it's really good, all right? Because our communication is dialed. Reason number 4, employees leave their leaders is that they have no growth opportunities. Top performers don't just want a job. They want a path to something greater, okay? If you're not offering them ways to grow, they will go find someone who will. Always give your employees 30, 60, and 90-day goals when they join your team so they understand what success looks like in the very near term. And then ask them where they see themselves in the future, both at your company and even just within the industry. Once you know that, do your absolute best to create a path to get them there. If you're the person that can get them where they want to go, they will never forget that, and that will create loyalty. You can also create a system that allows your team to help each other level up, which I love. I use my assistant editor program as a training ground for the entire post-production team. We did this with Eric and it worked really well. So in order for an AE to move up and become a full editor, they need to help train their replacement. So by doing this, I'm showing my AEs that when they're ready, they have my trust to train the next generation of the team. And usually what ends up happening is the rest of the editors all jump in to help train because they want to see the assistants grow and succeed. And then it's a big celebration when the AE gets the promotion. So we've given them a huge growth opportunity and recognized their win. It's awesome. And reason number 5 is that you've created a toxic work culture. There are 3 main ways that I see this happening, okay? First, you promote a cutthroat workplace. Look, it is good and even recommended, I would say, that you have some friendly competition within your company. But it should not be so extreme that people want to win at all costs and will backstab each other in order to do it. Remember, you're making YouTube videos and you need a variety of people to succeed in that. The aggressive A-type producer has to work in harmony with the more sensitive creative writer so we can create the best content possible. So you need to make sure that they have a place to do that. The second is if you have one toxic employee or manager who is poisoning the well for everyone else. If you're not dealing with that person, you're kind of endorsing it, whether you know it or not. It will certainly feel that way to your team. Oftentimes, toxic people will be left unchecked because their manager doesn't have the experience to handle a conversation with a bad actor. It's uncomfortable. So conflict avoidant people have a hard time with discipline. And if you're a creator watching this, I know a lot of you aren't inherently built to have those conversations. You're creative and you need to focus on being on camera and giving notes and thumbnails and a million other things. But if you have someone on your team who is causing issues for other people, or they are the common denominator to a lot of your company's issues, you should address it swiftly because you could start losing the rest of your team. I've seen this happen half a dozen times. And if it's too uncomfortable for you, I would consider hiring a consultant or specialist to take care of your HR needs. Data shows that teams with toxic cultures have 48% higher turnover rates. If your employees are walking on eggshells around one or two people, you might have a culture problem. And finally, a YouTube creator's team can get toxic if it consistently struggles with burnout because of unrealistic upload schedules or not having the time and resources to get the job done. Setting big goals is good, but setting unrealistic goals will lead to employee frustrations and potentially turnover. I'm not saying you shouldn't challenge your team, but you need to build a system that can scale with your output needs without the train falling off the rails. Now, let's do a little self-reflection, all right? A little self-reflection for the leaders in the room, okay? It is a balancing act to put enough pressure on your team to consistently raise the performance standard while also showing them appreciation and giving them the autonomy to do their job. I get it. As a creator or business owner, you might be stressed out every day, thinking about your production output, your payroll, and a million other things that come with running a business. But remember, you signed up for this. This is your dream. These are your big goals, and you will be rewarded the most when it succeeds. But you won't succeed if your team leaves you. And that's not just with YouTube, that's with any business, right? Let's get a little real, all right? A little introspective, if you will. If you're watching this, I need you to ask yourself some tough questions. First, have you defined your core values with a clear mission and vision statement? Second, do your employees have a clear job description with clear responsibilities? Number 3, are you empowering your team or are you micromanaging them? Be honest. Number 4, are you recognizing wins or are you just pointing out their mistakes? And number 5, are you carving out time for constructive feedback for both of you? Because that's very important. We learn from each other. We learn and grow together, right? Ask yourself those questions, like really think about them. Bring them to your management teams. Have the conversation. Like look inward as a group. Are we doing right by our people? And if after that you feel like you still have some work to do in order to turn things around, that's okay. Almost every company I have worked with in the last 15 years has had to make some changes to create a better work environment. In order to be a leader people want to stand by, I would consider starting with at least one of these 3 things. First, conduct a leadership audit. Find out what you and your management are doing wrong before it's too late, all right? This is about taking extreme ownership for your team, for your actions, and for the way you lead your people. Because if somebody on your team fumbles, their failure is ultimately your failure, right? And if you don't understand that and you're just pointing out their faults, well, that's not gonna create a very trusting environment for them. They're not gonna wanna sit down and have that feedback meeting with you if they feel like they're just failing. Remember, this is your company, so take extreme ownership of that. Number 2, invest in leadership training. Not everyone is a born leader. So give managers the tools to level up. And you don't have to go outside and hire a consulting firm on a retainer to do this. You can do it in-house. When I was with Preston at TBNR, I created the management training program. So every 2 weeks, I'd sit down with all of the managers in the room and we would go over one specific principle for the way we wanted to level up our managers. We would focus on one thing every 2 weeks. It was awesome because not only were we training our people and they understood that they felt that they were being invested in, they opened up to one another. When a company gets big enough, you have managers at different parts of the building working on different teams, oftentimes dealing with the same problems. And if you just bring them together and give them a forum to talk, they'll bring all of those things up. So you're helping them level up, you're helping them become better leaders, and they just start solving problems together. It's a win-win. Number 3, if you can't create the leadership training or you feel like you don't have the experience yourself, then I would hire a consultant. Because someone who isn't emotionally attached to your business can spot problems that you're blind to. And if you are looking for a consultant, I have a company called Upright Media. We do consulting for top creators and I can help you. So click the link in the description, fill out the form, and maybe we can chat. So in tandem with the leadership training, you should also check in with your team to make sure that they have the tools, the resources, and the support from you that they need to get their jobs done with smiles on their faces. If you started with one thing to help your team understand the goal, I've created a little acronym. It's C.A.R, as in get in the car and drive. That's so dumb. I know we've covered a lot of information so far, but if there's one thing you take away from this video that you can apply right now, it's C.A.R. As in get in the car, as in car go vroom, as in vroom vroom to the moon, baby. C.A.R is this: clarity, accountability, and results. Say it with me. Clarity, accountability, and results. Clarity, job descriptions. So many companies do not have these for some reason. Make job descriptions for every one of your employees with defined responsibilities and reporting structure. Okay, they need to know who their point of contact is. An employee needs to know who their team lead is. They need to know who has the accountability for each project. Okay, and then keep open lines of communication. This is collaborative. All right, so make sure they have the clarity, they understand the mission, and they have the open invitation to communicate with everyone. Accountability. Your team needs to understand who has the ownership over what and what the stakes are if they don't succeed in their roles. This might sound scary, but it's very simple. If you told me, hey Josh, if you do A, good. If you do B, bad, guess what? I not do B, I do A. Josh do good. And finally, results. You, as the leader, need to set measurable goals and clear expectations for your team so they understand what success looks like. It's not rocket science, all right? People need structure. They need to know that they're doing a good job, and that comes from the top. Great leadership equals happy employees. Happy employees build great businesses. Bad leadership doesn't just cost employees, it costs you your reputation, your output, and ultimately your business. Building a company isn't just about scaling followers or creating banger videos. It's about building a team that's mission aligned, who is supported and trusted by you. Do that and you'll go the distance. Be the leader your team brags about, not the one they vent about to their friends. If you found this video helpful, please do me a favor and share it with one of your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell for weekly long form and daily shorts about YouTube channel growth and operational strategies. I'll see you next time.